I'm not in it.
So you having to record this for school?
Yes, and then my classmates will watch it and critique it. So I brought a main copy of my report for y'all to look at later, and I'm just kind of hit the highlights of it through the PowerPoint. So of course the purpose of our project. For personnel dealing directly with customers, job satisfaction is related to positive customer outcomes. And according to Robbins and Coulter, satisfied employees are more likely to be friendly, upbeat, and responsive with customers, which customers appreciate, leading to customer satisfaction and loyalty. And because satisfied employees are less likely to leave their jobs, customers are more often have familiar encounters, which contribute to quality customer service. And so we have identified a problem, and we picked the motivation problem. And these are the methods that I used to research this problem. I spoke to you and got some of your information through email. And then I did that questionnaire with you regarding how you conduct your training, you know, whether you do just the IT training or whether you do customer service as well. And your answer to that was no, that you usually let the departments handle that. I also did an extensive literature review, and then I researched the Disney's customer service training. It's used with a lot of hospitals, and they do conduct training. Yeah, there's a lot of hospitals that follow that, and a lot of just big companies. So I read that book, and I thought it was really, really interesting. I did review a few case studies, and then I attempted an employee survey. We'll see how that came out. So I think Bailey Clinic might have felt they might have been a little scared to answer my survey.
Did you have any responses?
No responses.
Are you serious?
Oh.
I picked it up, and no one had answered. So, and that's just part of research. And that doesn't mean that it's no results. It just means that it was negative.
I can tell you from the surveys, national surveys that we do, we use Sullivan Llewellyn, who does ours electronically, and they tell us that usually nationwide, if they get a 50% response, they're tickled, but most of the time it's in that 25% range. So it's a real low percentage overall people that participate. And for the first 2 or 3 years, we were in the 75% range, and they were just blown away with that.
Oh, really?
And I think the reason why is because of who is pushing it. When they found out that Doug was the one that was encouraging it and wanting their input, and it comes from within like that, then they're more motivated to do it. Unfortunately, in your situation, you were an unknown and walked in, and they just blow it off. So if the doctors there would have pushed that and said help her out, you would have probably got a better response.
Yeah, unfortunately, I really didn't talk to anybody there. I just had a brief interaction with the office manager and let her know, here's the surveys, if you'll put them in the break room and let them voluntarily answer them. So I think that, if I had talked to some of them, but I, didn't want to. Yeah. So we did discuss that currently during the onboarding process that you're not doing customer service approaches, which I'm going to speak more about. So we know the first step in motivating others is to let them feel that they're competent at their jobs, and employees want to know that their contributions are legitimate and that they're taken seriously. And we know that motivation factors differ for different employees. Some are motivated by non-extrinsic awards, and some they like the money. But it's also shown that recognition and acknowledgement are important factors in boosting their morale. So findings on employee feedback show that Employee of the Month programs, they're not what they're knocked up to be. They're actually found to be demotivating and people see it as whose turn is it now, you know. And just because there's a limit, you know, usually only 1 or 2 people get recognized. So it's just shown that continuous and honest feedback is imperative for employees to feel secure in their job. So that was my goal, was to find a way to get that continuous feedback. So what I am recommending is that during the onboarding process, you do have some customer service training, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and that you change up your reward system just a little bit. What I'm proposing is based on this Disney training program. It's called a service cycle. So you would kind of have to just catch up the old employees, but you know, they're already out there, and most of them are experienced. The thing is, when you're bringing in new people, they're the first people that your customers are going to have contact with, and you want them to be a little more professional. You want them to know how to handle those sick patients that don't feel good, that, you know, we're having to talk to them about their bill, and we need to be a little more empathetic to them. Because a lot of people coming in, you know, this may be their first or second job, and they're not used to dealing with that kind of pressure. So training employees is a vital task, and it begins with the introducing of and distributing of generic organization-wide set of images and behavior standards. Employees can boost employee motivation by making performance measurable and recognizing that performance. So the service cycle consists of 3 parts. First is the service theme, service standards, and how it's delivered. The service theme is a simple statement that's created as your driving force, and the theme I picked, and you can pick your own, but is we take pride in helping our patients. And of course, pride is going to be our acronym when we come to our service standards. Our service standards, we want to make sure that every patient's treated like a VIP, very important patient. And that's something that I think that we need to teach people in the onboarding process. You know, it's not Cooper Clinic that pays your paycheck, it is these patients. And so if you're treating them with that utmost respect and treating them like they are your only patient, there's your paycheck. So I think, you know, if you could get everyone to make that pledge when they come in, I promise to listen, understand, and respond with the highest standards of healthcare service and personal respect. And they're going to know that that's what's expected of them when handling patients. The delivery system is just how it's delivered. Making sure that patients are in and out in a good time. And I know with doctors that's not something the front can always control, but you know, communicating what's going on and why you're sitting here so long helps them understand. And then just trying to head off problems before they get escalated. And that comes with communication, you know. So pride, what does that stand for? P is for privacy. Employees need to know that, of course, we have HIPAA, but it needs to be a personal goal to recognize patients' privacy and keep all their information confidential. R is for respect. So we're going to value everybody's uniqueness, beliefs, rights, and just make sure that our environment's good for that. I is for involvement, and you need to believe that every patient involves that communication, or is entitled to that communication to get them through get them an appointment, that they know that you're working to get them an appointment, you know, quickly, and that you're not wasting their time. And then D is for dignity. And pride is the set of standards that the employees are going to be trying to follow. And when they follow these standards, that's when they're recognized and rewarded. And then E is for empathy, and that's just, you know, striving to show empathy with our patients, understand how they feel, understand how the family members may be feeling. And then, of course, how we deal with our coworkers. So employees that do follow these standards, you would be giving out Pride Awards, Pride Bucks, money. It's taken away the plaques, it's taken away the gift cards. Because when you're handing out Pride Bucks to buy company merchandise, you're not only marketing for Cooper, because your employees are wearing this, but it's creating pride of them wearing your logo, you know. The feasibility of this, losing a patient is just, it's incalculable, you know. We're losing them getting an MRI here because at their primary office someone was rude and they decided to switch primaries, you know. So that new MRI and CT that y'all just put in, you're losing money. So I think just a little bit of money that you're going to put in to getting this started up is going to be worth it in the long run. Urgency with the new hires, of course, you can start immediately, you know, but and I don't know how y'all are on technology right now. If you would have it where you could just upload the service standards and to their computers and they could log on one morning instead of sending, you know, Jane or Doris down to make a meeting. And then the cost to get it launched, it's going to be $11,300, and that's, you could probably bring the prices down way lower because you probably already have people that you order products from and make deals with. But that was me researching just through little companies, how the printing of the brochures, the you know, the training manuals. What I did break it down to was, and this is probably a little bit high, I don't know. I just took an average of what you probably pay people between nurses and office personnel and just kind of found a middle number. So this would be new hires, 2 hours in training, and you said you do usually 18 new hires a month.
Give or take.
Yeah. And then if you could just get the morning or afternoon training, whichever, you know, the employees want to log on before they leave and look at that and get that information, or in the morning. So that's the breakdown of just their what you would be paying for their training. Literature to hand out to them, $500, and you could probably do that a lot cheaper than I know that you could. And then here's some of the prices I found for just for the merchandise to use their bucks on. And the way I had it set up is, you know, I want you to be looking for these people. I want, you know, when so-and-so does a good job, send her a buck, you know. Hey, you did a good job and we've heard about it. And so they could either accumulate their bucks for some of the bigger prizes, or they could, you know, go ahead and use them real quick on a mug or something, you know, some of your cheaper products. But you could go all the way up to the Cooper Clinic lawn chairs that they could be taking to the games, and just stuff that people are going to see your name and they're going to feel proud because they're showing that, you know, hey, I work for Cooper. And I got this for being a good employee. I think that I didn't see anything on your website of Employee of the Month, who it was this month, or do y'all do that?
We don't put it on our actual Cooper Clinic website. No, we have a newsletter that goes out that usually indicates any awards that are given.
But is that just for the employees? So I think it's important to let the public know who's doing a good job. I mean,
That's a good idea.
It is.
and it's free on your website. Just pop their picture up there and, hey, this is our new Employee of the Month, or not Employee of the Month. These are some people that have been recognized for good service, and you could just update that monthly. So that's the total, but of course once you get all the old employees, their training done, you're just looking at those 18 new hires a month. And so your costs are actually going to decrease by, I think it was $5,000 or $6,000. So the award stuff, I think, is actually in your budget that you gave me. You said you spend about $1,000. Was it a year?
See, it's a year.
So
Yeah, anywhere from at least 1,000 to 2,000 probably on different types of rewards, just on the purchase things that we've got in there.
I mean, that's quite a bit of rewards here, just in the 770. And of course, when you order in bulk, you're going to get cheaper rates. So here are the references I used because this is not all my work. Let me make sure I hit all my high points. Of course, that has strengths and limitations to that survey, but and I guess what you can call on the survey not being answered is just Hawthorne theory, fear of them being singled out. I'm sure they just didn't want to feel like y'all could pinpoint them. So, anyways, that is all I have. Do y'all have any questions?
I love the idea of putting it on the website.
I do too. And we actually do, instead of employee of the quarter or employee of the month like we did when you were here, we do team of the quarter now.
We've actually got 3 different awards. Are we still being recorded?
Oh, you want me to turn it off?
No.
It's
off? It's
No,
not
it's
recording?
on. It's
Oh.
on. Do you want me to turn it off? Okay.
Well, I don't want to give away.
All your
Secret.
company secrets.
If you need to leave it on, that's fine.
No.
Stop.